Good morning and welcome. My name is Reverend Zachary, Benson, and I'm the minister here at Cedars Unitarian Universalist Church. I want to thank you for taking the time this morning to join us in this virtual space for our worship service. Whether you're a longtime member and friend of Cedars or a first-time visitor, I appreciate your willingness to get experimental and do church a little bit differently. I know for those of you who are used to coming to church regularly on Sundays, it can be one of the few times in the week where you have an authentic connection with folks, where you're able to exchange a hug and share of the fullness of your joys and sorrows and have them heard. And so, since we aren't able to meet in person during this time of COVID-19, I hope that these virtual services will be a time of connection, will be a time of centering, a time of rejuvenation, and a time that calls us back to our highest values. As Unitarian Universalists, we strive to affirm the worth and dignity of every person, no matter where they are on life's journey. So, no matter who you love, where you're from, or what you believe, I hope you will feel welcome here. And before we move further into our service, I just wanted to say that if you happen to have a chalice or a candle at home, you might want to take a moment just to go grab that. We're going to be kindling the flame of our chalice here in just a moment. And so if you had that now, it would be helpful. The other thing is that later on during the service, there will be a time where I'm encouraging folks to be generous. As many of you I'm sure know, at church we generally pass a collection plate, and this money is used for a lot of things, including supporting our partner organizations in the community. And so when that time comes, the link to the PayPal account, as well as an address where checks can be sent, will be showed on the screen. So you might just want to grab a pen and a paper now as we are preparing for this time together. So with all of those preparations, I want to again welcome you to this space. And as we come together, let us take a deep breath. And allow ourselves to center into this moment. Welcome. Come, let us worship together. Good morning again, everyone. Sorry. One of the biggest complications of using this program is learning to unmute and mute all of the different audio tracks. And so there might be a few times where my mic kind of cuts in and out. It's probably on my end, and it's just, as you're learning a new tool, things take a while to remember. So good morning and welcome. This is a time for us to check in. Like we've been doing, I will be monitoring things here on my tablet. And so if you're here, and I see some of you have, but if you could just type your name and where you're at, and I'm going to spend a few moments just acknowledging who is here so we know who's at church today. I would love to know, I see many of you have already mentioned you're here, but if you could just type some more comments, and I'll just start here. I see that Fran is here. My husband Elliot says, greetings from Suquamish. That's right. Elliot is now officially a resident of Washington State with me after many months of being apart. We'll wait here for a few more. So while I'm waiting for people to type in your name and location, I see Carol Ann from Bainbridge Island. Welcome, Carol Ann. This is a new way of doing worship this week. Different than the last few weeks, and partly this week this is the first time that I'm working sort of on my own at home. Up until this point, I had been meeting with Julie Hill from Manzanita Bay. Up until this point, I've been working with Jessica Star Rockers. We're going to continue working together when we can, but I'm going to be having to do some of the services at home, and so it'll be this way for a while. So forgive me for any technical issues. I've spent a lot of time learning this software. And here we have Jane Martin at her kitchen table. Welcome, Jane. Rebecca Lee at home on Bainbridge Island. Welcome, Rebecca. Lydia Phillip. Hey, Lydia. Welcome from Bellingham. It's glad to see you here. We have Kasha Singh on sunny Bainbridge Island. Pat Killian in Port Ludlow. Mary Ellen, down in Napa, California. We have Rick and Carrie on Bainbridge. Marcia from Eugene, Oregon. Hello, Marcia. I'm glad to see you at a distance. Jeff and Nancy Phillip in Paulsbo. Mike Cox sends his greetings from Bainbridge Island. Joyce Jensen's from near Cedars Center, so they're on the island. Chris Smell on the couch with Ernie. So Gregory Cook is on Bainbridge. Donna Kramer, welcome from Suquamish, Elliot. That's right, Donna, you're our neighbor just right here in Suquamish. I see Phil Hutchinson from Murden Cove. Gregory says, welcome, Elliot. Bonnie Yokis and Sharon from Bainbridge Island. Mary Romeo. We have Leslie and Herb on Bainbridge Island. Janet Marie and Wayne in Paulsbo. We can't hear you. I hope you can hear me. So I see Rhonda here. So Judy and Gillian. Jenny and Tyler Weaver. Jillian Boole. Dean and Pat Sampson. Julie Smith, my mother-in-law, welcome. And we have Rhonda, welcome. And I see here just a tech support comment, Janet Marie. Elliot is saying to check your speaker if your speaker is muted. And then Dick and Joan Spencer are in Suquamish too. That's right, you're just down the road from me as well, Dick and Joan. Welcome. We have Becky Walsh at home on Bainbridge Island on the sofa with my dog. Welcome, Becky. And Marcia Smith from Kingston. Donna Moore from Winslow. Welcome, Donna. Awesome. So I'm sure, please continue typing your comments into the comment box. Rick Freeman, good morning. Eric and Demi, good morning. If I don't get you all, I apologize. I'm just so grateful to see so many of you here currently. John Peck, welcome. It's good to see you, John. Currently, I'm showing that we have 66 viewers, which means that I see a lot of you who are watching from home. I know there's at least 2 of you. So we have a good turnout for this Sunday service. I'm glad all of you could join us. As I said, please be patient with any technological issues that come up. This is my first time. I had to learn a whole new piece of software to stream this. Today is going to be a mix of recorded and live content. So right now I'm currently live. And I'm going to also be sharing some of the music that was recorded by Cedars members. And we're going to make the best of it. And we're going to keep learning this new way of gathering in the weeks ahead. So welcome, everyone. If I missed your name, know that I'm grateful you're here. And at this time, in light of the fact that I'm asking everyone to show a little grace with this technology, I thought I would open with a musical reflection by our own music director, Chris Smello. And it's a song titled A Little Grace. And so I am going to play that for you all now, and the chorus words will be posted on the next screen. So you're welcome to sing the chorus along at home as you feel so called.
We need a little grace, less righteousness, a little grace. For all of us, a little grace, a place for us to breathe. A little hope, not judgment, no, a little peace. To just let go, a little love, connecting you and me. A little more compassion, a little give and take. A little more forgiveness and joy for goodness sake. We need a little less, I told you so. A little more, I love you so. A little grace, a place for us to breathe. little less. No trespassing, a little more. Come in, let's sing a little love, connecting you and me. A little more compassion, a little give and take, a little more forgiveness and joy for goodness sake. They say you've made your bed, now lie in it. Why not instead? Let's jump on it, a little grace, a place for us to breathe. A little less of heaviness, a little more lightheartedness, a little love, connecting you and me. A little more compassion, a little give and take, a little more forgiveness and joy for goodness sake. We need a little less of bark and yell, a little more wag, wag it well, a little grace, a place for us to breathe. A little less, stay seated please, a little more. Let's climb those trees, a little love, connecting you and me. A little more compassion, a little give and take, a little more forgiveness and joy for goodness sake. When we're at peace within ourselves and know within that all is well, then we can smile and sing and dance and breathe. And from a place of love and peace we can relax, let worries cease, and feel the love connecting you and me. A little more compassion, a little give and take, a little more forgiveness and joy for goodness sake. We need a little grace, less righteousness, a little grace for all of us, a little grace, a place for us to breathe. A little hope, not judgment, no, a little peace, to just let go, a little love, connecting you and me. A little love, connecting you and me. A little love, connecting you and me.
It's such a beautiful song to hear, and I'm so glad that Chris had it available. It was recorded a few years ago by John Mackenzie of Cedars Church, and I was grateful as I was looking for music to provide in this service, since we can no longer be meeting in the same rooms together. Chris sent me over several files and other members. I have songs you'll hear later from Pat Killian, as well as Lois. And so this was my first time experimenting with this way of doing music. And I'm glad to see here in the comments so many positive feedbacks. My goal in the weeks ahead, since we're not going to be able to meet in person all the time, my goal is to find ways to curate some of the content that you all have created, including music, to share that together. And so this is just a sample of what will be coming in the weeks ahead. So good morning and welcome, everyone. This is the time for our call to worship. And I'll be 100% honest with all of you in this. I'm feeling a bit like a nervous wreck, and I'm doing a lot of deep breathing, but connecting in this way is brand new to me, as I'm sure it's brand new to all of you. And so like Chris implored us to give a little bit of grace to each other, to let connection be the thing that we're really seeking rather than perfection. In normal circumstances, perfection isn't possible. And so in these circumstances, I think more than perfection, we need grace. We need collaboration. We need to keep coming together. And so acknowledging the fact that I'm in need of a little bit of grace right now, and I'm sure many of you are as well. In this time of opening, I want to invite us to take a big breath together. Breathing in and out. And let's just sit for a moment in silence, allowing ourselves to center into this day, into this virtual space together. Thank you all. I hope that you all feel as calmed by this exercise at home as I'm feeling here in this moment. With each breath, as I think about how we are connecting rather than focusing on perfection, I feel my blood pressure drop a little, my heart rate slow. And so I hope that we can continue to remind each other of this. We'll continue to explore, and it's going to be goofy, it's going to be fun, it's going to be serious, and we'll get through this and be better for it. So thank you all again. As Unitarian Universalists, there are few things that fully bind us together in our congregational polity. Every congregation governs themselves according to the democratic process, how they feel so called. And so that means that every church does things a little differently. But one thing that almost, and I say almost, every Unitarian Universalist church, and many Unitarian churches around the world do, is that we kindle the flame of our flaming chalice. And so at this time, I would like to invite you all into this shared ritual of community. And I have asked our moderators today. We have my husband, Elliot Smith, Chris Smello, and Fran Corton are three folks who are monitoring the chat. And so I've asked for them to just paste the words to this chalice lighting into the comment box at this time. And the words to this chalice lighting are actually the words that were used to start pretty much every meeting at the seminary I went to earn my Master's of Divinity, Star King School for the Ministry. And I'm drinking out of a Star King coffee cup today, using Star King matches, as well as wearing a stole that I somehow managed to find in my stuff when I was moving. And so I've really been treasuring the fact that I have a community of people who help nurture me to be a minister, and I've been spending a lot of time reflecting on that. And so with that in mind, I wanted to use the words from the Star King chalice lighting to kindle our chalice today. And so as you have these at home in the chat box, please feel free to follow along with me. With the kindling of this flame, we reaffirm our commitment to accept life's gifts with grace and gratitude, and choose to use them to bless the world in a spirit of love. Welcome. May today be filled with grace and gratitude and many gifts that we choose to use to bless the world in a spirit of love. And as a reminder again of the fact that we are not alone in this, I'd like to take a moment and share a pastoral message from UUA President Susan Frederick Gray.
I'm Susan Frederick Gray, President of your Unitarian Universalist Association, and I'm coming to you from my home where I and all of us at the UUA are moving to virtual operations and working from home. As we navigate these incredibly difficult and uncertain times for our country and our global community, I want you to know that I am holding you and all of our congregations, our members, our leaders, our people in my heart. I pray that you are making time to tend to your own heart and your own spirit. Take gentle care of yourselves. It is really easy to feel overwhelmed or inadequate or caught in fear these days. With all of the anxiety, grief, and fear that is real in this time, I believe that pastoral care and connecting across physical distance will be ever more important. As you tend to your own community and to each other, remember to take time to slow down, to breathe, to lean into your mission as a community and to the needs of your community. There really is no script for these times, and no one practice will work for all congregations. Leaning into mission, taking a time to slow down and think about what's most important can help guide you in this time. And remember that we're all learning here, trying new things and adapting as the news changes and conditions change. Perfection is never the goal. The goal is to care for one another and to live compassionately and mindful that we are in this together and that we are one human community and one you community. Know that your care and intention for one another really make a difference in this time, both to the people you know and love as well as for your own well-being. I'm enormously grateful for all of you and your commitment to one another and to our wider faith. It's times like these when we feel how deeply important our living tradition is and how much we need one another. I love you all so much. I'm proud of the way that Unitarian Universalists are taking this situation seriously and responding out of deep care. I'm proud of the ways that we are putting compassion and community care at the forefront of all we do. I am with you all in this time. I too am finding my way bit by bit. As the weeks go on, our needs may change, but let us remember how important it is to be bound together in religious community, connected to one another and offering both our care and our stories and sources of resilience and hope for this time. I love you all. Be well. Take good and gentle care of yourselves. Many blessings to each and every one of you.
As Susan Frederick Gray reminded us, during this time of physical isolation, it's important that we continue to stay connected. So as a way of staying connected right now, I'd like to invite our community to share of your joys and sorrows. I'll be following along here on my tablet at home. And so if you just type in your comments, your messages, I will try to read them off as they come in here and lift them up in prayerful reflection. For any that I miss, please know that I'm sorry, that I care about what you have to share with the community. And I hope that if things do get dropped on my end, that members of the community will feel free to comment in the chats to bear witness to each other's joys and sorrows. I think it's one thing as a minister to be the one to bear witness to that. But really, it's about being in community. It's about how we care for each other. And so if you would just, as your time permits here, type in your joys, your sorrows, and I will try to read them off here at home, and we'll see how that works. So I see Melissa in Paulsbo says greetings, that she's missing us all. So greetings, Melissa. We miss you too. And as you see this, please feel free to type into the chats here if you have anything to share. I'll spend just a moment or two in this section and see if other things come up. And if not, we'll continue to move through the rest of our service. But I want to make sure that I give folks the right amount of time. Just so you know, there is a delay between what happens for all of you and what's happening in the software that I'm running this. And so I'll try to be patient. I see some folks coming in here. Patrick Killian says, our son in Buffalo appears to have COVID-19. He seems okay, but we are worried sick. I would be worried too, Patrick. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope that things improve for your son. Joyce Jensen says, great to see you, John Peck, with us. It is great to see John Peck joining us. Jeff Phillips says, our family has a joy. Our daughter Marina, will defend her PhD in chemistry thesis tomorrow at the University of Illinois. That's wonderful news, and I know PhDs take forever to get to that point. So congratulations, good luck on the defense. Kasha Singh says, grateful for this community and Reverend Zachary. Thank you, Kasha. I'm grateful for your leadership on the board and all of the rest of the folks who have been helping navigate this. Tyler Weaver says, the joy of unexpected time with family and having our third and final child come home today. I'm glad to hear that everyone is going to be home. I know that it can be difficult to be distant from each other in an uncertain time. Sandra says, my joy is all the hard work this community is putting into staying connected. Thank you, Sandra. Leslie and Herb share, our neighbor, a nurse and LDS leader, invited us as a people of faith to join in a day of fasting and prayer for all of those affected by this pandemic. My prayers are with all of those affected, and I think that any way we can show support and solidarity right now is welcome. Donna Moore, our Chalice Circle used the topic of Wahabi Sabi, a Japanese aesthetic meaning simple, place, and natural. Seems pretty fitting today. Marcia shares concern for her daughter in Juneau, working in a family practice and trying to handle the stress of providing health care and still protecting her family. I imagine for healthcare workers right now, this is an especially difficult time. I pray that your daughter stays safe, Marcia. Rick Friedman says, my heart is with you and your son, Patrick. So Rick sends his love to you, Patrick. Marcia Smith says, I have two joys. I survived type A influenza this month and lived to see another birthday yesterday. I'm grateful to hear that you are feeling on the mend, Marcia, and I wish you a happy belated birthday. Fran Corton says, oh, Pat, so very sorry. Keep us informed. Carol Ann, deep joy for family time. Anxiety for all those on the front line and those who are suffering. Gratitude for essential workers. There is a lot of anxiety, and as much as we can be of support and grant grace to each other to reduce that anxiety, I pray we'll continue to. Mary Ellen Morgan, joyful that all my family and friends are well. That is indeed a joy. Rick Friedman, Marcia, may your daughter feel loved even as she gives of herself. I agree. Mary Romeo, former member, past President Robert and Donna Moore in Michigan are separated during this time. Robert is in a nursing home and Donna not able to visit him. That's really a difficult situation to be isolated from your spouse like that. My prayers go to them that they may find a way to keep connected. So Chris says, so thankful for Reverend Zachary. Thank you, Chris. I'm so thankful for you. It's been a lot of work to get here. We have John Peck. Love this service. Coming home tomorrow. That is welcome news. Such welcome news. It'll be good that you'll be home, John. I'm sorry we won't be able to see you in person for a while. And I see some more congratulations here for John returning home. So thank you all for sharing of your joys, your sorrows. Know that this community holds you in its care. That it may not be the same as how we've done church before, but we are still meeting, we are still caring. And please, in the weeks ahead, I'm asking everyone to stay connected, look through the Breeze directory, pick up the phone and call people you haven't heard from or talked to in a while, people you haven't seen in any of these conversations. The more we can stay connected, the more that what we do in this time will be made possible. It's a lot of work to keep connected, and as one person, I can only do so much. I'm grateful to have our pastoral care team, as well as the rest of the members of our Cedars community who are really doing amazing jobs. But the more connection you all can do, the more that I think that we will continue to find meaning in this time. And so, as we end our joys and sorrows, I would like to invite us into a moment of meditation and song. And this is another song that is by our music director, Chris Smello. I Am at Peace. And I will play that for you all now.
And I am at peace. Christine Smello. I am at peace, and peace now flows through me. I am at peace, and peace I meant to be. I am at peace, and all is well with me. I am at peace, peace finds its home in me. Should you read that verse again? I am at peace, and peace now flows through me. I am at peace, and peace I'm meant to be. I am at peace, and all is well with me. I am at peace, peace finds its home in me. Verse 2. I am at love, and love now flows through me. I am at love, with love so pure and free. I am at love, by loving all I see. I am at love, by loving Christine Smello, are you with us? Oh, wonderful job, Christine.
It's such a joy to have music, composed and written by our own music director here at Cedars, but also to hear this song sung by other UUs. Again, this is a reminder of the fact that we are not a congregation in isolation. This particular music video was sung, I believe 2014 is what it said, at the Musicians Network Conference in San Diego. And so I'm grateful to have content from our community to share, but also a reminder that we are part of a community so much larger than just Cedars, that we are part of an association of congregations with other people all around the world who are struggling right now to stay in connection. And so I hope that these reminders help us to be connected both to each other as well as our larger faith movement. And with that said, at this point in time, I want to invite us into another brief moment of meditation and grounding. So if you would, whatever, if you're sitting or laying down, maybe you're even standing, just sort of notice how your body is in the space you're at. Maybe notice if you're sitting in a chair, the way the chair is supporting you. Or if you're laying down, notice the way that the sofa, the bed, the floor is supporting you. Notice the ground underneath your feet. And take a deep breath. Breathing in peace, tranquility, and calm. Breathing out love, compassion, and grace. Breathing in all the support that we need. Breathing out our willingness to be of support to each other. Know that in this moment, despite the physical distance that separates us, we are connected by our breath. Notice the air brush against your face. As you continue to relax. In this time of relaxation, imagine yourself connected to everyone else watching. Imagine a golden tendril of light coming from your heart, stretching out. This is the interconnected web of life. This web is what makes possible the fact that we even exist. May we sit together for a moment in silence and contemplate our connection with each other. Contemplate the ways that we are connected and sustaining each other in this uncertain time. Let us dwell in the silence of community together. May this time serve as a reminder of the fact that despite the physical distance, we are never isolated, that we are connected, and we are a people who are made stronger by this connection. To deepen this time of meditation at this moment before continuing forward to our reflection today, I'd like to invite you all into a moment of musical reflection as we listen to the song "Look to This Day," performed by the Cedars Unitarian Universalist Church Choir.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. It is reinforced by all the verities and realities of pure
That's such a beautiful song, and I'm really struck by, this call, look towards this day. And the reality is that we are here today meeting in this space because many of you had the foresight in the past to look towards this day, and with that foresight, made the choice to make a financial contribution to Cedars. And your contributions are what is in part right now is funding the technology that I'm using, keeping us connected, it's paying for the staff and all of that. But it's also what's going to be when this is all over, what keeps us going. Us looking to the future with hope, to this day with hope. And also, with that said, I think that some of you know that since we aren't meeting in person right now, we have a practice that isn't really taking place. And that's the practice of passing the collection basket. That means that we're in need of a little bit of financial support. We're missing out on some income that on Sunday, when we pass that basket, we would normally be receiving. And that's income that we use to fund our programming here at Cedars, as well as to contribute to our partner organizations in the larger community. Beyond that, March, in theory, was the Stewardship Month here at Cedars. And as I checked the other day, we're still behind on where we should be as far as pledge units returning their pledges. And that we want to continue doing the work of keeping you connected. We want to continue to build community in this time. And we want to make sure that we have a solid foundation to continue on once we get back to meeting in person. And so all of that is to say that your generosity is greatly appreciated. Cedars is, we already know this year, we set a very aspirational goal for our stewardship drive. And I would love to continue to work towards meeting that goal, because all of the things that we included in our budget, the plans and ideas that you all said were worth funding when we put the ask out to all the committees, we want to fund those. And when this is over, we'll need those funds. And so right now, I would ask you, in a moment, I'm going to switch scenes here. There'll be a song by Pat Killian, a member of Cedars, Given, that will play. You'll see on the screen displayed a link to our PayPal page. Because this is a video, you can't click on the link. That's why you'll want to write it down and type it into your bar. The other thing is I've received many emails in the last week and a half where people have asked where I can send a check or where I can send my pledge card for 2020-21 church year. And so on the next slide, I'll include the Cedars Center address. We're still going to continue to check mail on the regular days throughout this stuff. So anything you send to the office will be received and we'll make sure it gets processed. But I just want to encourage you all to take a moment to be generous, to give of your resources, and know that despite many things right now being closed, Cedars has remained open. And it's been a bit up and down, hectic, but we haven't missed a beat in terms of the services we provide and are expanding into some other virtual programming. So I hope that you'll consider giving generously to Cedars Unitarian Universalist Church. And at this time, I would like to invite us into our offering, into our offertory, with the song Given by Pat Killian.
May everything that we are given be so gratefully received. And may we have the grace to be humbled by our place in all existence and to live as we believe, and the courage to live as we believe. We give thanks to our Mother, the Earth, which sustains us. We give thanks to the rivers and streams which have supplied us with water. We give thanks to the herbs which have furnished medicines to cure our diseases. And we give thanks to the corn and her sisters, the beans and the squashes, which give us life. May we never take for granted the gifts that daily we receive. May we know the peace that is to be in harmony with all existence and to live as we believe. And to live as we believe. We give thanks to the sun, which has looked down upon us with a beneficent eye. We give thanks to the moon and the stars, which have given us light when the sun was gone. And we give thanks to the Great Spirit, in whom is embodied all goodness. Everything that we are given be so gratefully received, and may we have the grace to be humbled by a place in all existence and to live as we believe, and the courage to live as we believe.
Sorry about the delay and sound there. Again, that's one of the things I have to watch stuff here and then watch stuff here and make sure to mute and unmute things. I'm hoping that with time this will become better. So this is the time in the service when I want to give a brief reflection. And with all of the learning of new tech right now, content has been hard to generate in my brain. And so this will be a really brief reflection. I want to honor the fact of getting us out of here as close to an hour as we can. But today I want to talk really about grace and forgiveness and flexibility. And I mentioned right now that there's a lot of learning going on for me, and that this has been unprecedented times for churches. Despite my age, I never considered myself a techie. I am, I suppose, a bad millennial, and that I don't spend a whole lot of time using technology, which is one reason, honestly, why ministry felt like a good calling to me. Because in normal times, normal circumstances, ministers, it's all about the in-person connection. And right now, not being able to be in person, it's hard to feel that connection, to feel the sense of energy when we're all in the room together, when we gather to worship. And I get a sense when I speak to you what's happening in the room. I can feel it go up and down in my body. And that's what gives me the cues of how to respond to you in the moment. And right now, it's been really hard. This is one of the most awkward things I have ever done, sitting here in my converted laundry room studio, talking at a computer screen and trying to make it feel meaningful. And so as I've been doing this again and again, I say grace. And by grace, I guess what I mean isn't some sort of, divine intervention. It's not about, the traditional concept of grace that maybe people who are familiar with scriptures might know. This grace, I really mean forgiveness. Forgiveness for each other, forgiveness for me when I screw up, and to just have some grace, to assume good intentions when people are reaching out and communicating. I keep reminding myself that here I am as a young man at 31 years old, and I'm struggling with the technology. And recognizing that allows me to have grace toward all of you, because I know that a lot of you are struggling with the technology. And so that's the sort of grace that I am talking about. And the more that I've found I'm able to extend both that understanding of grace to myself, I keep having to remind myself, Zachary, this is all brand new to you. You're figuring something new out. It's okay to make mistakes. And the more I tell myself that, the more I'm able to then turn around and share that message, share that grace with all of you. And as I was thinking about that dynamic of grace, one of the things that came to mind was a story that one of my intern supervisor, when I was the intern at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, Reverend Greg Ward, shared this story. And he shared about how when he was in seminary, several years, probably 20 years or so before I was in seminary, he took a class on what's called atonement theology, which is really just a fancy way of saying sort of a philosophical framework about forgiveness. Why do we forgive? What's the importance? What role does forgiveness play? But in this class, Reverend Greg said that the professor gave them an assignment. And the assignment was to go and get a bag of potatoes. So everyone goes and gets a bag of potatoes. And then you were supposed to take the potatoes and to think about all of the people who had frustrated you, that you were upset at, or that you otherwise needed to forgive or seek forgiveness from. And on each potato, write a name of someone that you think of. And so you can imagine if you start making a list of people that you either feel you need to forgive, or that you maybe want to seek forgiveness from them for something. It starts to be, I guarantee most of us would have at least 6 or 7 potatoes. So once this was done, Reverend Greg said that a professor told them to take this bag of potatoes with names on it and to carry it around with you. And the instruction was that you were supposed to carry that bag of potatoes around until you had contacted each person whose name was on a potato, called them, and offered or sought forgiveness. And no matter what they did, once you made that call or made that connection, you could take that potato and put it away. Take it out of the bag and put it somewhere else. So Greg shares the story that as the week went on, suddenly he found himself a few potatoes later, and then a few more later. And then suddenly he was down to 2 potatoes, and then 1 potato. And that last potato was someone who he said, and I don't remember the specific details, but he said was someone who was going to be very difficult to call and ask forgiveness of. And so what he did is he continued carrying this potato around. And he continued carrying it in a bag. And after a week, it kind of started getting a little soft. And after 2 weeks, it started to get even softer. And eventually the potato, as they tend to do when they're moving from warm climates to cold to moist to not being in a pantry like they should, it started to mold. And suddenly, he found himself carrying around this moldy potato. And it was in realizing that he was carrying around this moldy potato that he understood why he needed to call this person. Forgiveness, grace, this sort of way of being graceful and seeking reconciliation with each other is rarely about the other person. It's often about us. And that the ability to which we are able to share this grace with each other, to unburden our potatoes, is really what allows us to be free. It allows us to lighten our load and keeps us from carrying around all of these things that eventually over time begin to fester and rot. And so in this time, I don't think any of the transgressions that have come up have been so horrible that we can't move past them. But if there are things that come up, either with me or within our community, or even just folks in your life in general, during this time, I'd encourage you to be graceful, seek forgiveness, unburden yourself of those potatoes, and speak clearly to people when it happens. Because really, we want to be in community with each other. And when we are able to seek and grant forgiveness, to seek and grant grace, our ability to be in community together deepens. So think about those potatoes in your life this week. Those people whose names you would have written onto the actual potato if we were doing that exercise. And ask yourself, what do I need to do to seek and grant forgiveness, to live into a spirit of grace in this relationship? And then, to the best of your ability, do that. My prayer is that we will get through this, we will build relationships, we will be better communicators, and also be able to be graceful with one another. This is my prayer for all of you and my hope in the week ahead. And so with that reflection ended, I'd like to invite us to listen to our piece of closing music. This is the song titled Weeds by our own Lois here at Cedars.
My weeds are all organic and as healthy as can be. How I wish I could say the same about my vegetables and me. The asparagus is covered with bindweed, which is blooming beautifully. It's choking the life out of the hollyhock and throttling the apple tree. We call it morning glory in an effort to make it seem nice. As an organic gardener, I know I have to pay the price. So I stand here in my garden feeling like an organic wreck. And if I stand still very much longer, I'll have morning glory growing round my neck. Bindweed, chickweed, pigweed, smartweed, crabgrass, blackgrass, horsetail, buttercup, dandelion, burdock, curly dock, sourdock, Himalayan blackberry. Grass and thought it was a little bit long. So I went to the carport to get the lawnmower, humming a cheerful song. When I went to pull the mower out, bindweed had it bound tight, winding around the handle, blooming in sheer delight. Get to my camera to record that unusual sight, and I still haven't moved the lawnmower. To disturb it just doesn't seem right. Bindweed, chickweed, pigweed, smartweed, crabgrass, blackgrass, horsetail, buttercup, dandelion, burdock, curly duck, sourdock, Himalayan blackberry. mows his beautiful lawn about 6 times a week. Waters it every single day, at least 6 inches deep. To keep it looking like velvet, he pours weed killer deep into his yard. Not a single dandelion would dare to creep. But the crabgrass on my side of the fence can't wait to make the leap. And my blackberry vines will sneak over his fence tonight when he's asleep. Bindweed, chickweed, pigweed, smartweed, crabgrass, quackgrass, horsetail, buttercup, dandelion, burdock, curly duck, sourdock, Himalayan blackberry. Organic weeds are beneficial. Horsetail is good for your skin. Dandelion root is good for you too. Roast it, brew it, and drink it right in. Pigweed tastes better than spinach, and it doesn't cost you a thing. And miner's lettuce is a great delight first thing in the spring. So sometimes I'm sorely tempted just to give it all up. Lay back in my lawn chair, give the garden to the creeping buttercup. Chickweed, pigweed, smartweed, crabgrass, quackgrass, horsetail, buttercup, dandelion, burdock, curly duck, sourdock, Himalayan blackberry. My weeds are all organic and as healthy as can be, and my slugs are too.
So we have reached the time at the end of our service, and I'm going to try to get this. I know that the text isn't perfect on this video, but I hope that it shows up here. This is the time for our extinguishing, our chalice, and benediction. And so what I would like to do is that I am going to read this. The words are here on the screen to extinguish our chalice, and you're welcome to follow along at home as you feel so called. So we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our service has ended this day, but our service to one another begins anew. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please just stay connected. Keep reaching out to each other. Practice grace, forgiveness. We don't need to call it something fancy like atonement theology. It's just about being a decent person and staying in community. So my hope is that we will continue to practice this as a spiritual practice this week and in the weeks ahead. Thank you all for tuning in. And I'm going to just hang out here for just a little bit. So I'll watch the comments and see if things come up. And otherwise, that's the end of our service. Thank you all today. And we'll be seeing more of each other this way soon. I'm glad that we could join together in my laundry room. And I want to say thank you to, there's been a lot of comments of appreciation. I'm really grateful for all of that right now. As I said, it's hard when you're learning something new to see how it's going. And we oftentimes are very critical of ourselves. I see here a comment, maybe next time there can be a post-service coffee hour via Zoom. I think that's something I'm going to look for doing next in the weeks ahead. So thank you for that suggestion. This week, it was a little bit hard, and I didn't get it set up, but thank you, Alice. Jillian Bull, thank you for your comments here. And I see, yeah, you're welcome to everyone. I am going to now end the live stream, and so you're welcome to, I guess, to call each other. And we'll try to find ways to connect after the service in the weeks ahead. Thank you all. Also, for anyone still watching, you might notice my clever, you are watching Rev ZTV. I thought that was pretty good because my initials are Zachary Thomas Vincent ZTV. So that is my new station. So please tune in the future for ZTV Productions. Thank you all, and have a wonderful week.